with this solution corner, unlocking the power of no to achieve yes. So what are we talking about? We're talking about consent, we're talking about boundaries. I don't know if we've got an actual problem that requires solution. If not, that's fine. We'll have a chat about it. But if we're going to have a chat about it, I'd like people up on stage with me. Let's have a chat. First of all, if anybody at any point wants to make a comment or ask a question, please feel free. This is what I'm here for. This is what I want to do. I want to initiate a conversation about this. First of all, I think I'd better give you an introduction about myself. So I'm Simone. I'm based in Malta, in Europe. I've been doing improv for a considerable amount of time, about 8 or 9 years probably. I've started teaching in the past 3 years, but I used to teach drama before that. I come from a theatre background, scripted background. My specialization was actually Shakespeare, and I recently became an intimacy director. So I've been training as an intimacy director, and I certified in November. So it's very recent, but it's a subject I'm very passionate about. And when we talk about intimacy, we're talking about, in theatre, we're talking about scenes that have an intimate nature, whether we're talking about some sort of physical contact, but also scenes of hyperexposure, if you like. Hi, Terrier.
Hey.
Also, the whole subject of consent and boundaries is extremely important in intimacy, because when you're giving people consent to do things in a scene, it's very important to ensure that that consent is given, truly given. And that's one of the things I'd like to talk about. So let's start from consent. And first of all, I'd like to start by asking you a question. Do you think there's a difference between permission and consent? And I know that this might be a language issue as well. But if you have any idea of the difference between consent and permission, I'd love to hear it. I'm seeing puzzled faces. That's fine. Permission. So let's take a scenario like, sorry, Terrier, did you want to speak?
Oh, no, please go on, please go on.
So I'm going to be speaking in theatrical terms. So if we've got, for example, a scenario where we've got a director, we've got actors, right? Now, a director can give permission for something to happen in a scene. Let's say, let's take a kiss. A director will give permission for the two characters to kiss, yeah? But each actor has to give their own consent for that kiss to happen, right? So permission is hierarchical and consent is level. For consent, can I write anywhere? Is there somewhere? Well, there's an acronym that we use in consent. You can look it up. It's not just for intimacy, it's in consent in general. Oh, there's a whiteboard. Okay. Okay, so there's an acronym which is FRIES, like French fries, so FRIES. And what it means is that consent has to be freely given. Okay, I'm just going to run through them and then I'll go through them one by one again. So consent has to be freely given. It is retractable or reversible. It's informed, enthusiastic, and specific. So let me just go through them again. When I give consent for something to happen, I'm saying that it is freely given. So nobody's forcing me to give my consent. And we will talk about coerced consent later on if you want to. It is retractable or reversible, which is something that people struggle with because they say, but you gave your consent. Why have you changed your mind? But you know what? I might have consented to you putting your hand on my shoulder. Wake up the next day, I've got a pain in my shoulder. I do not want you to touch my shoulder. So I will retract my consent. Informed, I have to know exactly, or I need to know what you're going to be doing. So you're going to be putting your hand on my shoulder. Okay, I know what you're going to be doing. I know how you're going to touch me, because it's not just about touch. And this is not just about physical contact. It could be about subjects. It could be about other things as well. But if I know, then I can consent. Okay, so you want to touch my shoulder. I consent to that. It has to be enthusiastic. And this is another difficult point of consent, because I could say yes, but mean no. So it's very important for the person who's asking for the consent to be aware of that. And I'll give a little bit more detail about enthusiastic later on. And specific. So we'll go back to the example of, are you going to touch my shoulder? I want to know exactly where you're going to touch. Where does it end? Where does it stop? Are you going to touch my neck? Because I don't want you to touch my neck. I want you to touch up to here. How are you going to touch me? Because if it's going to be a gentle touch, it's one thing. If you're going to slam your hand down on my shoulder, it's something completely different. It needs to be specific. I need to know. I'm talking about a shoulder, but it could be a breast. It could be a different part of the body. So this is very important if we're talking physical touch. So let's talk about enthusiastic, because this is also important. We'll get to the whole dynamic of saying no, but I just wanted to make sure that we know what yes is before we can get to the no. When is a yes a no? What if someone says yes to you, but it's actually a no? How could that happen? Do you want to contribute to this? Do you have any comments? And I'm seeing the whiteboard has the yay. Thank you.
Maybe when you're too polite.
Too polite. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So ask that question. Oh, sorry.
Sometimes. Sorry, can you ask the question again? I need my brain to put it into context.
Okay. I'm just asking, when is a yes actually a no?
Yes, yes is actually no when you, in like a scene context, it might be when you think you're yes-anding your partner. I can't explain this today. English is hard today. I'll get back to it, Simone.
Did you change the hour today as well? Because I'm a little bit fuzzy as well.
It might just be one of those days. I don't know.
Lauren.
I needed you to rephrase it. I'm processing and I'm documenting, but I did see Christian had a hand.
Okay.
To me, it's similar to what was said before. It's in the scene context. It's peer pressure. I'm asked a question, or people expect me to do something, and I don't have time to process it and value. Do I actually want to say yes? And I was like, okay. So there is external pressure and not giving me time to come to a decision.
External pressure, yeah, and speed. That's an interesting one, actually. I'm jotting down some notes for myself as well. I'm not in this case. I haven't actually spoken about scenes, but absolutely yes. When you're in a scene, there are moments when you want to say no. And how to do that is something we'll get to. Although I have to remember that it's 45 minutes and not 3 hours, because we could easily go on for 3 hours. James.
I would say yes is no if the person, as you had in the FRIES acronym, if something in their body language changes. So they first make a little bit interested, but then kind of draw back. And if you notice it shift, that could be a no.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to mention a few, when is a yes or no? When it's reluctant, when it's like, yeah, fine, I'll do it. That's not a yes. Right? When it's coerced, like, look, you have to do this, otherwise, I don't know, I'll give your part to someone else. There will be repercussions. When it's passive, like, whatever, it's not necessarily yes. And that doesn't mean it's a no, but it means that you need to check in. You need to ask, listen, your yes didn't look like a yes to me. Can you tell me again? Ask 3 times. Are you sure it's a yes? Even if it sounds annoying, are you sure it's a yes? Because maybe they're just saying yes because it's you or because they feel they have to. Power dynamics. We can talk about this more in detail later if we want to, but power dynamics are very, very important in this context, because you could easily be saying yes simply because of the person who's asking you. Not because you actually want to say yes, but because it's a famous director, but because it's, oh my God, I'm going to look like an idiot. Oh, because I want to be polite, like someone said. There are many, many reasons. Also, I want to credit a lot of what I'm saying. I got from a workshop that I did with Maya Herbsman, so I just wanted to mention her name. Another reason for saying yes is because you don't want to be the difficult one. You don't want to be the person who says no, who causes problems for others. I don't know, if we're talking about a film scenario, for example, if you're filming and lots of money is going into this and they want that scene and you suddenly say no and causing problem for the rest of the production, you might feel the urge to say yes instead of no, which is what you're actually wanting to say. Body language, exactly. An uninformed yes. I say yes, but I didn't realize, oh my God, that's what you want me to do. No. Or that you don't want to be called a troublemaker, for example. How many times does that happen? You know, to say yes because you don't want to be the trouble. You don't want to be the difficult one, like we said, or to be polite. So let's later on talk about how do we get through this to be able to say, no, I don't want to do this, without being the troublemaker or without caring almost, because, you know, I want to be true to myself rather than what everybody else around me expects. And this is not just in theater or dramatic situation. We're talking about real life. It happens in real life. I don't know. You've been invited to a family dinner you don't want to go to, but you can't say no because, you know, people will be offended. So power dynamics.
Can I add one more maybe, Simone?
Yeah, sure.
I wonder if there's also a cultural context sometimes. She said feeling like that's happened to her.
Yes, absolutely. I think certain cultures it's harder to say no, but you could probably say more about that than me. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I think I want to go back to I'll go straight to no. You can read up on power dynamics if you want to. There's an excellent book. I should probably send this to you. I'll send it to you in a chat or something. It's called New Weave of Power, People and Politics.
New Weave, W-E-A-V-E?
Yeah, of Power, People and Politics. And the authors are Liz, L-I-S, Venneklasen, V-E-N-E-K-L-A-S-E-N. Can I put that in the chat straight away?
I just did. I just put the link to buy it on Amazon.
Oh, brilliant. Wow, that's fast. Yeah. Great. So that's a book about dynamics if you're interested in the subject. Now, saying no. As improvisers, we tend to say yes. Why? Because as soon as we start improv, first lesson, yes and, yes and, yes and. You have to say yes to everything. Yes and build upon it, which is a great principle, which is one of the main ways that improv works, right? But what if you find yourself in a situation where you don't want to say yes to that scene, maybe? And this has happened to me. I was on a scene, it was a rehearsal, I was in a scene, and the scene was going in one direction, and my scene partner wanted to add wolves into the scene. And so I accepted the fact that the wolves existed, but then I got rid of them. And I got accused of blocking, because that is what, it's true, it could probably be seen as a blocking move. But I felt like I didn't want the wolves on the scene. So I kind of accepted, I kind of did a yes but, I think. I accepted the reality, but I sent them out of the room. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you've got someone who wants to add an alien to the scene and maybe divert it from a line that was working to add something else, because maybe in a moment of panic, we've added something because we thought that the scene needed it. I overheard a little bit of what Kelly was saying in the previous session, for those of you who were there. And yes, she's absolutely right. You have what you want, what you need already in the scene. You don't need to build from the outside. So how do you say no? But how do you say no as well so let's not talk about what's going on in the scene. Let's talk about maybe a physical contact that's happening in a scene that you don't want. Now, obviously, for physical contact, I would strongly recommend that you talk about it, that you talk about boundaries, that you decide from beforehand, especially because we're improvisers, so we're doing everything on the spot, what you are willing to accept and what not. But that can change. Because you might have said yes. You might have said yes at the beginning of the session, just before going out on stage. It's like, yeah, I'm fine with a kiss on the lips. It's absolutely fine. You go out on stage, you notice there's a kid in the audience or whatever, and you're like, oh God, no, I don't want to do that. Now in improv, I always say there's always a way of saying no within the scene. I mean, if it gets extreme, for heaven's sake, you can always walk off. If it gets something that it becomes something that's triggering you, that is making you feel really uncomfortable, you can always end the scene. Let's remember, this is improv. But you can also transform it into an element in the scene itself. And I always use this example. For example, you've got a couple, a married couple. Husband comes in or is in the scene already and wants to kiss you, and you don't want to do that. If you turn away and present a cheek, for example, rather than your lips, you have refused the kiss, but you've also changed the scene. And for me, that's just made the scene more interesting. I want to know now why this couple are having problems. What is going on? What did he do? What did she do? Maybe, it could be a million other things. So the fact that you've said no hasn't blocked the scene, hasn't stopped the scene. It's opened up a new world. What's important is how to react to that. If it's me now, if I'm coming onto stage, it's happened to me as well, actually. I was in a scene in a festival in Ireland, and we were doing a scene, and I went to kiss the guy, and he turned away. And it was brilliant. I mean, I had my moment of, oh God, did I offend him in any way? What just happened? Oh my goodness. But he was playing this guy in a wheelchair, and the whole scene became about his feeling of inadequacy. Is that the correct word? I think so. And then we built up. When we finally did kiss, it was beautiful. And it all started from a refusal. So yes, let's say no if we want to. Paolo. Oh, yeah.
Struggling with the microphone. Well, two observations. The first is about what I try to teach to my students in improv is that they would never slap or punch a partner in a scene. So why they have to kiss the partner? Mm-hmm. It is the same thing as you would never slap an actor for real. Why you should kiss the actor or the actress? The second, that we are doing theater and everything needs to be staged. So if two character kisses, for example, the audience will never see the two characters, but see the actors. And this will snap them out of the hypnosis of the scene. The audience is enthralled into seeing a scene, is in another world, and where everything is staged, but the audience want to believe that it's true. Mm-hmm. If two characters kisses for real, the audience say, oh, they are the two actors kissing. So we snap them out of this. So the kiss, like the slap or the punch, needs to be staged. As the audience needs to know that the kiss is false to believe that it's true. I don't know if I explained.
Yeah, no, I totally understand you. So first of all, thank you for not slapping and punching on scenes. Please don't. As a stage combat artist, I absolutely disapprove of actual real slaps and punches. They can go so horribly wrong and are absolutely not needed. I wouldn't even fake one because it takes a lot of training. You need to get the angles right. You need to get the movement exactly right. You have to get the timing right. So for me, a stage slap or punch in an improv show is extremely difficult. And I wouldn't recommend it unless you've been working with the same troupe and you've had training in stage combat, like regular training. It took me weeks to learn a slap, like doing it over and over and over again. So yeah, I wouldn't even get to that point where we need a slap or a punch, but so thank you for not slapping and punching. A kiss, you know what it is? We're more used to seeing we're more used to seeing and doing a kiss than a slap or a punch. I'm not sure if I agree. I see what you're saying, that the suspension of disbelief kind of cracks at the point where you have a real kiss. But I don't know, maybe because I hate fake kisses so much. I really, really detest them. That's they can work, absolutely. But once again, it needs to be well. If you're doing a masking, for example, of a kiss, you can mask a kiss with your hands, with your hair, with whatever you need, or the whole putting your thumb, kissing your own thumb thing, which I never got right. Yes, I suppose so. You can fake a kiss. If you hide it well enough, yes. But I can see moments where a kiss could work, where I'd be happy to have a kiss. That's absolutely fine. But we're living in COVID times, for example. Maybe we don't want to do that. So yes, absolutely. Maybe my scene partner has really bad breath. Like, oh, I don't want to kiss him. So yes, absolutely. But if it works in the moment and you're both willing and you're looking at each other and you can really see that there is consent, because you don't have to go into a kiss. You can go slowly. And if they move away, okay, that's not happening. So there's many, many different ways. Thank you, Paolo. I've got a question from Christian and a question from someone else, but I've forgotten who it was. Okay.
Yeah, I think the act of the kiss itself is something you can agree before going on stage. So I had scene partners where we had the talk about consent before, and of course it can be revoked. But I had people I were on stage with where we knew this is something we don't want to do because we're uncomfortable, and I had people saying that we can do it, and maybe only those two and those two, so specific pairings where people felt uncomfortable, but it's a must do. We just knew that if the scene allows it, this could be a nice ending. The other thing what I wanted to mention to what you said before, how to do a no or what a no can be on stage, for example, to me the question is, where do I put the no? Is it a no of the character, or do I have it? I feel a no as an actor, and is to say, okay, I feel this. Can I make it into no of the character? Like you said in your example with someone who's playing a character in a wheelchair, it's a fantastic story that could be told and should be told, and so I had these things that I say, to me, yes, ending means I accept the reality that you want to kiss me, and now the reality that I don't want to kiss you back, which
Exactly.
Yes, my no, in a certain way. I had scenes where someone was editing, and I can't recall them, but the humor got dark, and I just ran on stage and said, we're not going here. And that was an actor no, where I said, nope, this is not the kind of show I want to play.
Yeah.
We had a hard debate afterwards, but I followed that impulse. No.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, because my memory slips away very quickly. So I'm gonna go back to what you said, the first thing, about agreeing beforehand, about having maybe certain performers who agree to do it if necessary. That's the other thing. We don't have to. We can say, oh yeah, I would totally kiss you in this scene, you know, and then the scene comes on like, it doesn't need it. It doesn't fit. So every group obviously works in its own way. For me, as long as there is consent and there is a discussion on boundaries, and we haven't spoken about boundaries yet, but I'll try and squeeze them in. Everything's okay for me, as long as it's within that consent, as long as it's within those boundaries, and as long as you are able to read your partner well enough to realize that it's a no. If someone's pulling away and you're still forcing yourself on them because, oh, but she said she's going to be, or he said he's going to be okay with this, read your partner. Like in improv, we observe, we follow impulses, we see things there. See this as well, see the consent, right? And the second thing you said, yes, I might be stopping as an actor. So as an actor, Simone, I do not want this contact right now. It doesn't even have to be physical contact. It could be a scene about, I don't know, a breakup. I'm going through a breakup right now. Oh my God, I do not want to go there. Yeah, so that's my decision as an actor. Turn it into I would turn it into something that belongs to the character. So the rejected kiss, it's an actor choice, but it's a character choice. Sometimes it's a character choice, but not an actor choice. In the case that I mentioned of the guy in the wheelchair, it wasn't an actor choice. It wasn't, I don't want to kiss you. It was a character choice. Obviously, I didn't know at the time, you know? Right, Terry.
I'm having technical issues, so I'm sorry if this already has been covered. I was just thinking, because to me this is like at least a two-step process. Step one is how to say no in scenes, and that I find is a thing that requires a lot of practice, especially for beginners, but also for experienced people. And then first you can start to figure out how to use that no. If that makes sense, because just the act of saying no, it is so hard. Again, especially in a world where yes and seems to be this dumb law, and I'm sorry for saying that, but it is. So and also I find the retracting thing very interesting, because I've done a couple of exercises there where that is actually where people react the most. Because, well, you already gave it, and then yes, but I took it back. And I guess I just wanted to hear your thoughts on like tools or approaches into how to learn how to say no, or how to like. Okay. Where would you think where would be a good place to start?
All right. So first of all, the thing you said about the 2 stages, I think it links into what Christian was saying about. Okay, there's the acceptance, and then how does it develop? Absolutely. What you said about beginners is very difficult with beginners, because with beginners, we are training them to say yes. So the minute someone says a no, okay, not all teachers are training them to say yes. I totally see that. But the minute you have to say no, it's like, oh my God, am I blocking? You go into your brain, and it's like suddenly you've shut down panic, because I'm not supposed to say no. Right? How can we say no? Let's move on to that bit. So instead of saying yes and, let's learn to say no but, and it's a good but, right? And I do this. I mean, in my training, we did exercises where, for example, I would ask permission. It's important to ask permission. May I hold your hand? May I put my hand on your shoulder? May I put my hand on your cheek? And you can say yes, or you can say no. But when you do say no, you offer an alternative. So, may I put my hand on your cheek? No, but you can put your hand on my shoulder. So I haven't completely rejected your no, like a hard rejection, but I've given you an alternative. Like, don't touch me here, but you can touch me here. One of my personal boundaries, weirdly, is don't touch my hair. I mean, it depends on what mood my hair is in on the day. But some days, just please don't touch me. Don't put your fingers through my hair. Don't touch my hair. So if someone asks me, may I touch your hair? I would say, yes, but you can only grab it, for example. Or no, don't touch my hair, but you can touch my face if you want to. So it's offering an alternative. It's pivoting. So how to do that in a scene, this is something we need to practice. Someone comes in to kiss me. You could literally say, please don't kiss me. We can speak. Please don't kiss me on the lips. You know, not today, but you can kiss me on the cheek. You can say it. This is something we don't, because I'll go out of character. No, make it your character. So flow through the no. Don't just say no, boom, because nobody likes that. Nobody likes the complete rejection of a no. So a no but, or a no and. No, not that, but this yes. And also establish the boundaries. This is something we have been kind of mentioning from the beginning. Have a talk with if you're working in a troupe where you meet regularly, that's great, because every week, whenever you meet, you can consolidate those boundaries. Listen, for me, these are my limits. But you also have boundaries of the day. Right? Today, I slept badly. I've got a problem with my neck. Please don't do anything to me in this area. But normally I'm fine. And establishing for example, please do not talk to me about animals, because my cat just died and I cannot bear to have a scene about animals today. Yeah? So establishing those boundaries. Some people think, see, I can't do any cat scenes today. But it's the opposite. It's like, okay, I can't do cat scenes, but I can do everything else. So I just know I don't have to go there. I have so much freedom to do so many things. So finding a way of saying no, the more you work with the same people, the more you work together, I find it helps, but it's not the only way. I mean, even if you're meeting a group for the first time, if you do have a deep and honest chat about boundaries, you can still do all of this. One thing I wanted to add, and I slipped away, hold on. Damn it. I was just thinking of something. I said, oh, I should mention that, but I forgot. Okay, any other questions in the meantime when my brain kicks in again? Oh, Paolo, sorry.
Just an observation that I think that there is a higher level of yes and that often, especially with with an experienced improviser, yes and can be used as a club, as a dictatorship. You have to do this because if you say no, hey, you have to do yes and. I think that the highest level is inducing you to give me the permission. It is not something that you want to do, but I accept you in a way that I can make you the proposal you can accept.
It's basically making you an offer you can't refuse. Yeah.
Yes, or that, but respecting your boundaries, not forcing you. I accept your limits and I work with them, not against them. So you don't want,
Yeah.
just you don't want your hair to be touched. Okay, great. And I work with you that maybe that you give me the permission, but is not something that you are forced to give, but I have to put you in a position that you have the opportunity, nothing forced. Okay. This is, in my opinion, the higher levels of yes and.
Okay, so a couple of things. Yes and can be dangerous. But yeah, if I'm understanding you correctly, and do correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100% sure. You're saying, these are my limits, but if we work together, maybe those limits will move, right? Today I say hard no, no hair touching. If we become friendly enough or if we work together enough or what have you, okay, today maybe yes, you can touch my hair. And you kind of got me to that. It's almost a little bit like grooming. You've got me to say yes to you finally by, oh, it sounds horrible. But to me, it sounds horrible. But we can talk about safe zones. And imagine concentric circles, right? So the middle will be the safe zone, the comfort zone, the place where you're comfortable, where you're okay, everything is safe. And let's also give it traffic light colors. That is your green zone, right? If you go into the outside circle, one circle out, this is the amber zone. And now this is a zone where I'm not 100% okay, but let's go with it. Let's see how it goes. All right, this is your stretch zone. And the stretch zone is actually an interesting place to be. As a performer, as an actor, it allows you to let go a little bit of your fears and try something new. And that zone is absolutely okay, as long as you're listening to your partner. And the minute it stops being the amber zone, but becomes the next one, which is the red zone, you stop completely. Now, the red zone is the outside circle. Red, danger, it's absolute stop zone. The danger zone, don't go there. It's the place where you're triggered, the place where you're no longer safe, whether physically, whether emotionally, mentally, that zone, just absolutely don't go there. So make sure when you're doing this kind of work that you're in the green or in the amber zone. Terje.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. So, again, sorry, I'm having so many technical issues today. It's ridiculous. I just want here's my 2 cents on the no part, and that is for beginners, the simpler and easier we can make it for them, the better. And by that, I mean, in such a context, no is no, period. No is always that complete sentence. And I completely get behind, you can tell why or why not, but that might be too much for a beginner because they're juggling 15 different balls they've never juggled before, and most likely are in a state of fight, freeze, or flight, like 70% of that beginner's class. And I find it very useful in such a context to practice just saying no. Just saying no. Don't tell us why or why not. Just saying no. And I think that is, to me, that is a very healthy place to start. And the yes and discussion we could save over a drink later, because that is so much bigger than this session.
One thing I want to say as well, sorry, Lauren, I'm just going to add this before I forget about it. If someone says no, if someone, I'm seeing you put LinkedIn, I never use LinkedIn, so Facebook is easier for me. If someone says no, if someone says, please don't touch my head, please don't touch my shoulder, it's none of your business why. Okay? Can we not talk about breakups? Oh, what? Are you going through a breakup? It's none of your business. So accept a no and don't try to find out more about it. Also, if you're in a personal space with one other person, so it's just the two of you, you're talking about limits, you're talking about boundaries, you're talking about these things, that is between you. Whatever is said between you, if someone's come up to you, I don't know, let's say, like, don't touch my tummy because I'm on my period today. You know, I can't deal with it. Don't go back to the group like, oh yeah, she's on her period today. No, whatever, or, you know, my grandmother just died today. Oh, don't announce it to the rest of the group. Anything that is said between you stays between you. And you don't have the right to know why it's a no. It's so important to not get into that kind of, yeah. I have a note here, external pressure and speed. Absolutely. I think we've kind of covered it now. That yes, you can feel the need to say yes because everybody else has said yes, or because, oh, the group needs it. It's not easy, but try not to give in to that pressure. Speed sometimes will make you say yes because you're not thinking straight or you don't have all the information. So, and in improv, it happens. In improv, we're doing a scene and suddenly you're in a situation that you're not sure you're comfortable with, but it happened. So in that case, you either try and get out of it in the scene itself. If you're in a position, maybe you're in a physical position, maybe you've ended up on your knees, like hands and knees, and you don't want to be in that position. So find a way to get out of it as quickly as possible. Yeah, sometimes improv leads to these situations. Just maybe learn to slow down in a scene and really read the scene. And this comes from both sides, because I might know what I'm doing in myself, but my partner has to read me as well. And if there's that moment of eye contact, like we could have signals. In role-playing games, that's the X card. When something that makes you uncomfortable arises, you just point the card, no explanation needed. Yes. Some people suggest safe words, for example. Yes and no with a safe word, because like Terry, you mentioned the fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze could freeze up your throat. Freeze could freeze you completely. And if you're in a freeze position, you will not be able to say a safe word. So you need to be able to get out of a situation without having to say a specific word, or you're not thinking straight. You can't remember what the stupid word was. What's the most clear safe word in that case? Just no, just say it. Sometimes as improvisers, we forget that we're performing. And I'm not going to say it's not, you know, no scene is more important than your well-being. Yeah, no matter what it is, no matter what the situation is, no scene is more important than your mental and physical well-being. So get out of it, and then we'll build it into the scene if necessary, or we'll edit and another scene will come on, and then, you know. I know we're running out of time. I think we've got 1 minute left. Is that correct, Lauren? Oh, I've got notes. Hold on. I say yes because I don't want to disappoint my partner. Yeah, sometimes by doing that, you end up in a worse situation. So sometimes it's important to say no, even if you think you're going to disappoint someone. But like I said, in improv, it's very possible to build it into the scene, as long as you're on the same page. Like, as in, what I mean is that the other person is willing to recognize that. I say yes to avoid conflict. Exactly. Say yes because they don't know how to say no, or they don't have experience in saying it. We can talk further about this, Terry, about possible exercises we can do to practice saying no. The rule of thumb I teach: the costume owns the character, the body to the actor. Yes, the body, it's still my body. Whatever you want to do with it, it's still my body, and I own this body, and I will not accept to do things that I do not want to do. I think that's it. I think those are the comments. Thank you so much.
Smashing stuff. Thank you so much, Simone. I think a topic that, yes and is so often fundamental to improv that I think it's easy for us to think in a certain mindset of you have to say yes to everything, and I do think we need to start knowing that what that means and the proper ways to use that. And yeah, I'm glad that we're able to have these kind of talks and discussions now. So thank you so much. So
I just want to add one last thing, Paul. Sorry, I forgot to mention, really important. The people I trained with in the States, the IDC, the Intimacy Intimacy Directors and Choreographers, I think, is the IDC, and in the UK, it's ISS, Intimacy for Screen and Stage. So I just want to thank them, and I want to say, if you're interested in the subject, please look them up.